Yeah, my name is Eric, and it all started when I was a kid. The first quarter of my life, I grew up in a Muslim environment, and I was a very dedicated Muslim. In fact, I went to the mosque every day, and I was very, very happy as a Muslim. As a kid, I knew that there was God, but I couldn't tell what kind of God because my cousins at that time were all they were talking about gods, different kinds of gods, and especially in a Muslim environment, um, where I came from at that time, we had different prophets. So I didn't know who was the god at that time. And as a kid, I was always scared to be alone. So whenever night came, I I pray. I said, um, I don't know what God I was praying to, but I said, God forgive me for God forgive me. That's all. But I don't know why I was saying that. I was just saying it in advance because if you leave me alone, I start to freak out. So my dad took me from that environment. He took me to Tunisia, and then while I was in Tunisia, I I was in school, and I was still a Muslim then. And my dad took me to a church. At first, I did not want to go there. I didn't want to attend the church because growing up in a Muslim environment, you converting is like a big sin. They don't like you anymore. They want to kill you, right? So I thought that once I enter that environment, it's the end. But to my surprise, I got in there and everything was fine. I wasn't practicing. I was just attending because my dad forced me to church. So I said, okay, I guess this is what I have to do, right? So I was not I was just doing it because I had to do it. So the next thing was while I was in Tunisia, I was in school there. Um I had I had a very, very good friend of mine, um, who I thought, you know, I trusted him, but this guy at the end of the day, he ended up molesting me, you know. I said, okay, I didn't know why. I didn't know why he did it. Um, I said, okay, I guess this is what friends do, right? Nobody knows about this. This is the first time I'm actually mentioning this to the world. My dad doesn't know. Nobody in my family knows about it. Um, After some years, I moved from Tunisia to Nigeria to study, and while I was in Nigeria, I had some relationship. I had a girlfriend. So one day, I visited my girlfriend over in Nigeria. So she had somebody, a maid servant, right? Somebody who helps them at home. Um, this guy told me that your girlfriend is, she's not around. She's not around. She went to get something. I said, okay, let me wait for her. So he brought me into his room, and this guy again molested me. So this is the second time this happened. So I went back home. On my way back, I told myself that is this part of my life? At first, I wanted to tell my mom about it, but I didn't want to mention it because she would tell me, why were you there? Why were you there? So I just kept it to myself. Um, Mind you, this is the second time that this has happened to me. Well, this time this guy was bigger than me, right? And the reason why I actually let that happen was because one, I didn't want him to ruin the relationship I had with my girlfriend at that time. Um, so time has passed. I was in boarding school again in Nigeria, and again, I'll tell you. I had a friend again, and this is my best friend, somebody I really trusted. And this guy again, actually, he tried to molest me again. So this is the third time this is happening in my life. So while I was in Nigeria, I had a lot of bitterness in me because the people that I actually trusted, right, are the people that tried to harm me. So I was just bottling all that within me. I did not know why. I didn't know why these things were happening. So because of that, I got into, I started falling into relationship with different women, you know, um, just because of anger. I thought that since guys are trying to molest me, maybe I should focus on women. So I had different relationships. If the relationship doesn't work out, I go into, I spend my money. I go into prostitute's house, and I'll tell you, I was very good at it. Sometimes even when I'm broke, I don't have any money. I find the money. I find the money to go into prostitute's house, and I did not do it alone. I brought friends with me. Um, Sometimes three friends together. We go to a prostitute's house, and then we do our thing over there, and it was really bad, right? I moved when I finished high school in Nigeria. I came into Canada for my university, and I made friends. I was the life of a party during the university life. In university, I was always one of the hype guys. If I was not in the party, then it's not interesting. I was the one that got everybody drunk, right, in the party, and I also got into different relationships. Some worked out, some did not work out, and I got into drugs, a lot of drugs. This is all in Canada. While I was back home, I never did any drugs. It was more of sleeping with different women, and also, um, yes, yes, just prostitution. That was the main thing I did back home. But coming into Canada, I got it into drugs um, while in university. The reason why I really got into drugs because I liked how I felt. I liked, it opened up doors, right? Anytime I was doing drugs, I felt like I was a superhuman, and even while in school, I thought that I was smarter. And also, while doing drugs, when I meet people, I was I was always laughing. I was really really hyped, but that was not really my nature. It was just the drugs, right? Um, I wanted to I wanted people to know that I'm a very interesting person. So while in school, I remember professor my professor in the music class because I was going to school. I was taking different classes. I really wanted to take the piano class, the music class, and then the professor told me I signed up for the music class. The professor told me that yeah, you can come to the class, and o- on our first day of class, he looked at my fingers. He looked at my fingers, right? He told me, I'm sorry, I cannot allow you to take this class. I told him why. He said that because of your fingers, right? I said, but what do you mean because of my fingers? I cannot take this class. He said, you don't have complete fingers, and because of that, you cannot play the piano. But I told him that playing the piano has been one of my biggest dreams since I was a kid. I saw people playing the piano. I want to be one of them. He said, you have to go take something different. I said, okay, no problem. So I signed up for a different class. I signed up for singing, and I enjoyed that class. In fact, I uh, I really had fun in that singing class because it taught me something about me that I never knew. I never knew that I could sing until I took that music class. My teacher told me that as long as you have a voice, as long as you can speak, if you that you can sing, don't allow anybody to tell you that you cannot sing. So what I did was I went on YouTube. I looked at people who were playing the piano with their feet. So I said, wow, so people can play the piano with their feet? Is that even possible? So I said, okay, if these guys can do it, then I could definitely do it. So what I did was I went and I got myself a piano. So I said, I know that it's gonna take me longer to learn because it's gonna be self-taught. Since nobody's willing to teach me, I said, okay, no problem. I'm gonna take the time to learn this piano. So every day, every night, I just play by myself, just learn how to play each note. And over time, um, I became better and better, right? So I ended up graduating out of university. In fact, I took that up upon myself as a challenge when my professor told me that I'm not going to allow you to play the piano. So I took it up as a challenge to graduate not just in my major, I graduated in economics and I also graduated in music. So I have two majors. On my graduation day, he was there. I did not meet him to tell him that, hey, I'm doing this because of you. But I was just happy with myself that I was able to overcome that challenge of my life. Well, the reason why I was looking at different churches is because I came into terms with myself that going, I could not find peace in the Muslim world, right? I could not find a solution or an answer going through the Muslim world. One of our sisters in the church invited me to All Nations. She invited me to a cell, right? I said, okay, let me attend. Um, just because just because she was very very consistent, you know, she wouldn't let me be. Right? I said, okay, let me fine, let me just do it just to make her happy, and this is gonna be a one-time thing, right? Once I attend this, that's it. So while I attended that home fellowship that day, um, the pastor was talking, and mind you, I just came out of a very rough relationship. I was holding a lot of bitterness within me. Just coming out of this relationship, um, I was heartbroken, and I asked a question at that home fellowship. I said, "Hey, um, how do you if you have so much anger within you, right? How can you let go?" So my pastor, the pastor at that time, said that Eric, you have to read the Bait of Satan. I said, what's that? I didn't even know it was a book. He said, Eric, go read the Bait of Satan. I said, okay. I googled it, the Bait of Satan. Um, I I downloaded the PDF, and then the first thing I started reading on that book, it said unforgiveness. So that really caught my attention, right? I said that night I could not sleep because I was reading and reading and reading, and I fell asleep. But what I read in that book that night changed my life, right? I said, okay, I think these people they have something to offer, right? I said to myself that okay, I wanted to attend only once, but after reading this book, maybe that would give me that will bring me into what they are doing, right? And mind you, I was attending a different church in the city I was. So after on a faithful Sunday, it was actually a February. On February, after attending the regular church I did, this was during COVID time. Around I think like 1 p.m. The church that I currently attend, they went live, and the title of that Sunday service was "Before You Say I Do." So I said, okay, what is this? And on that day, they were talking about love, relationship before you get into marriage. This is what you have to go through. You have to follow all the steps. And I said, okay, this is very, very interesting because this is what I needed to hear. So I tuned into the whole service that day. Um, that was a title before you say I do part two. And then I found out that they had a part one. So after I finished watching the part two that day, I went again and I watched the part one that same day. Um, mind you, that same day, I already attended my church I was attending, and then I attended this one that was happening in the afternoon, and then I watched the part one. So that was like three different services in less than 5 hours. And I said, okay, I really like what they're doing in this church. I really like what they're saying. I like what they're talking about. I was still in the city that I was while I was watching these videos online. And after watching them for over a month, I decided to move, right? But before I moved, my current pastor called me. He told me that, are you willing to give your life to Christ? And I told him on the phone, yes, yes, I'm willing to give my life to Christ. But at that time, I just said it because I needed a change so badly in my life at that time. But I was heavily involved in drugs. I was heavily involved in alcohol. I I told in my mind I was like, this person you're talking to over the phone, right? I don't think you really know him, right? And I agreed to give my life to Christ over the phone, right? I said, okay, if this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do. And while I was doing drugs, right? I was very careful to keep my distance between people because I knew that um, the drugs, like the amount of, for example, alcohol I was drinking, I knew that somebody else could perceive it. So when I'm talking to somebody, I keep my distance, right? Because I don't want the person to know that I'm really drunk. And I'll tell you, I drove drunk. Um, I drove high. I drove 8 hours high. Um, I don't know why I was never caught. I just think that maybe God wanted to save me, but I just never knew why I was never ever ever caught. And part of my addiction to drugs was that it was really bad to the extent, when you rent vehicles, they tell you do not smoke inside the vehicle. So the fact that I knew that I was gonna be sober, I did not care. I did not care. I still smoked inside the vehicle. I did not mind paying the fine. So that's how bad it was. Even in hotels, they tell you not to smoke inside the hotel, or else you get this fine. So I didn't care. I said, I would rather pay the fine than being sober. So that's how scared I was to the fact that I was going to be sober. I decided to move from the city that I was in to the city of Cambridge. I was scared. I'll tell you, I was really, really scared because it's 8 hours away. This pastor that I usually see online, I don't even know him. So I just took a leap of faith and I moved. No job. Um, so I'll tell you that same month that I moved, my life started to change immediately. Within 3 weeks of moving, I was able to find a job. Um, and when I arrived at the church that I currently serve at right now, um, the pastor gave me the opportunity. I told him, "Hey, I play the piano." So after service that day, he gave me the opportunity to play the piano. Um, Even though I made some mistake that day, right, while playing, he, you know, our pastor gives you the opportunity. You know, the reason why I like the church, All Nation Full Gospel Church, is because they give you the opportunity to serve. So I realized that this is where I want to be. This is really where I want to be. Why? Because I did not know all this. I did not know all these years of practicing my piano. Um, it will lead me to where I am right now. So I was thinking to myself that while you're waiting on God to do something for you, because while I was in the world, I was praying, God, please take this addiction away from me. I want to find my calling. I want to find my purpose. You have to do something. For example, find a hobby. For example, what I did was I just got myself a piano and I was practicing over time. I never knew that I was going to be given a bigger platform to uh, to play the piano. And I'll tell you, I serve in my church right now. I play the piano for them, um, which is even a bigger stage. I never had thought in my life that I'll be doing this. Moving from being a practicing Muslim to finding Jesus has been life changing to me. I could not find the truth when I was a Muslim, but when I found out about Jesus Christ and giving my life to Jesus, my life has changed. I'll tell you, I became healthier. I found my purpose in my, I found my calling. I found what I was supposed to do. And I became so excited because I want people to understand that this is the truth. This is this is real. This is like real. It's not a joke. Jesus is real. Um, when I found out that Jesus died and then Jesus rose again, when I was a Muslim, the person that we all worship as a Muslim, he is dead and he's still dead. But when I became a Christian and I found out that Jesus died and rose again, that just changed my perspective. Jesus has healed me from the anger. I'll tell you, as a kid, I was a very angry kid. In class, I was always in the noisiest class. You know how you have class A, B, C. Where I come from, we have class A, B, C, D, E. Any class that I was in, either A or B or C, is always the noisiest class. And I was the one who was always starting it. We all went to the principal's office And anytime they send all the kids to principal office, there's no time Eric is not among. Jesus has healed me from anger. Jesus has healed me from addiction. Jesus had made me overcome the different challenges that I always faced. I know that there's still going to be challenges coming through, but I know that with Jesus, I could always scale through that challenge.